All right, all right. Welcome, everyone. I'm super happy that we have a special guest with us today, and that we're going to talk about a topic I pretty much love. I think it's the foundation of every founder, but also of every human being out there. I believe that's my opinion, my personal opinion. So please don't get me wrong. I'm not judging on anybody. Yeah. And before we actually really start straight away, because I'm also pretty sure that we will have some troubles in ending at the right time, I simply wanted to say a couple of words about myself. So I'm Julia, I'm the founder of Unwind Your Mind, and I always love to host those deep dives because I think it's very important to show that there is individual people out there and that everyone gets stress through individual factors. And there is so many different topics we should discuss to see everyone is simply observing things in a different way, and that we should embrace that type of diversity. And before I hand over to Angie, I just wanted to say, let us know if you have any questions. You can write them here in the chat, but also if you're tuning in on LinkedIn, you can also write the questions in the chat down there, and we will monitor everything, and then we'll ask Nargis all of our questions. So, Angie, over to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Julia. Yeah, also from me, hi to everyone and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Angie, a team member at Unwind Your Mind, and I'm so excited to be here today and to learn more about the power of mindset. And before diving into the topic, I also want to encourage you to ask any questions you might have during the webinar because, this is a great chance to chat with an expert. And now it's my pleasure to give the virtual stage to Nargis, who will be introducing herself.
Oh, great introduction. Thank you. And thanks, guys, for having me. I'm very honored. I'm excited to talk about mindset because you're right, Julia, it affects every single one of us, right? Business or not. A little summary of who I am and what I do. I wear a lot of different hats, and we'll talk about the impacts of that, I'm sure, through this conversation. The running thread through the work that I do is supporting startups and small businesses. So I basically chat to founders each and every day, learn about their journeys and their roadmaps ahead, and specifically their challenges and how I can help support them. So connecting them to the right people, providing marketing services through my company, Blazon, and really trying to create this fabulous startup ecosystem and a community spirit where we can sort of all help each other. So I have a large network. I've been in the startup game for a long time. I love talking to founders and learning about their unique perspectives. I learn each and every day, and I'm sure I will today as well. So if you are a founder, come and talk to me, and I'm sure I can point you in the right direction. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Perfect. Thanks, Nargis. Nargis, I'm sorry. So what I wanted to ask, at a first, as a first question, is basically, so everyone who is in the startup scene, but also I think nowadays in a normal life, not being an entrepreneur or not a founder, has some issues when it comes to stress. How do you feel a growth mindset can help to tackle stress? Maybe it's a little too broad, or maybe it's a little too deep straight away. Let me know, then we can, split it up.
I mean, you opened a can of worms. Yeah. I mean, stress, it affects each and every one of us. And I think what's I'm keen to point out is it's not just about, obviously we're sort of delving into it from a professional landscape and trying to think of it in the terms of business, but it affects our personal lives as well. They're all interconnected. I suppose it's a mixture of the world we've created, the society we live in today, very tech driven, very time poor, high demands, social media, things being done just like that. The pressures are extremely intense on each and every one of us through daily life, right? And you apply that to business and it's just a massive juggernaut, isn't it? Particularly when you come down to startup level and you're starting something from scratch, from the ground up. It's all consuming. There isn't a lot of, not enough hours in the day. A client of mine mentioned this to me a while back, and it's become my kind of indirect mantra of, you live a 48-hour mind that's trapped in a 24-hour body. And I think that's just, mic drop, really. Because it really is the pressure of trying to do so many different things in a very finite amount of time with a lot of demands on you, right? So I think stress is a massive, it's a massive problem for all of us. However, the mindset part of it, which we'll talk about in more detail, I think is integral. How you switch your mind to be able to deal with the challenges of day-to-day life, of business life, can be the make or break, I think. And certainly I've seen it for people that sort of have not necessarily the right mindset, but maybe more of a positive, stronger mindset, and are able to deal and navigate through this minefield, versus those that sort of are not able to deal with the pressures in the right way, crumble under pressure, maybe make the wrong decisions, and lead a different path because of it. So yeah, mindset is integral, and I would probably argue it's make or break.
I agree. And I think also, maybe just as an add-on here, it's like, I think people who come with a fixed mindset, I think they will struggle more. Maybe you have made some different observations when it comes to this, but also I think due to the fact that we were raised in a different way. I think we were really raised like in school. I don't know if it was the same in the UK, but like, here in Germany, it was definitely like that we were raised in a certain way, like, and always obey to rules. Actually, like in Germany, that's like one thing, like we always make a joke about it. Like if there is one thing we can do is like obey to all the rules and really stick to them. So I think there is a lot of people out there who are actually, kind of grew up with the fixed mindset. So I think for them, it's going to be much harder to really like embark on an entrepreneurial journey, but also like at the same time to really leave room to grow. And I think for them, it's actually been more stress because one of my biggest learnings really being a founder myself is like you always need to embrace the uncertainty because there's nothing for sure, right? No one knows how the future will look like. No one can tell you this is the right decision to do because no one really knows what the future will bring. So I think it's very important to work on this part, on really embracing that uncertainty, knowing that you cannot control it all, and that like it doesn't matter whether you're a founder or whether you're just a normal person. And I'm sorry, like I don't see this as a two separate beings. Like I don't know, like it's just like I just want to everyone to understand, like this is happening also for everyone. Really, it's valid for everyone out there that you need to find ways to deal with this uncertainty and to deal with the fact that you're not able to control everything, because if you don't do that, you will be in trouble. What do you think?
100%. That sense of adapting to change, I think that's a major component of being an entrepreneur and actually starting your own business and trying to, as I said, carve something from the ground up yourself. If you're not able to adapt to the changes, that's when we've seen founders fail, sometimes dramatically fail. And it happens on so many different levels, doesn't it? It could be something as small as, you're running a marketing campaign and you put a post out and it doesn't do too well, so you have to go back and change the messaging. That's on a very sort of small macro level. You blow that up to larger decisions within the company. And we've seen plenty of founder that is just far too fixed in their ways. They don't see how they need to adapt, how they need to change, how they need to change their mindset about their business in order to come out of this hole. I'll give you two examples, and you can appreciate I won't sort of mention names here, but just in terms of their profile, we've dealt with a lot of different founders, worked on multiple different marketing campaigns for various clients in different sectors. So we've seen a lot of different stories and different patterns. And we've seen the founders, one in particular, who was trying to build this particular business. They'd been at it for probably around 3 years, maybe coming up to 4, and still, I think, has not seen the way out of it. I mean, this it was started off as something that wasn't paid for. It was a free service just to kind of get momentum before it was monetized. It still hasn't become monetized because it just hasn't kind of come out of that rut, right? And that's not to say that it won't become a successful business, but it's just about being able to kind of have that unblinkered, unbiased view of what you're doing, and to be able to sort of like listen to other people that are maybe trying to change your mindset about what you're doing, and to come out of it, and don't be afraid to make that pivot, or, you know, possibly pull the plug on what you're doing completely and just change direction, right? Versus other founders you see with a much clearer mindset. That's not to say, I mean, one that springs to mind that was working in a very innovative sector, all about change, all about innovation and disrupting their market. Fantastic switched on guy. The first time I met him, before we'd even signed him on, I was impressed, not necessarily just with his knowledge, which was immense, but just his vision and his mindset. He knew that he'd given himself, I think it was 2 years, right? I need to get to this level in 2 years. If I don't, I understand that it might be time to change things up. But this is what I've given myself as a roadmap. I have an idea of what targets I need to hit. He was hustling hard. Real kudos to him, you know, real grafter. He was out trying to promote this business in a very different way to that other scenario, right? But it was about his mindset of where he wanted to go, where he wanted to drive the business, not being afraid to change. He actually did pull the plug on his business in the end, which is not, I don't see that as a failure. I see that more as a, you know, that's someone who had a vision, had a sense of belief in what they're doing, was realistic, had the right influences around themselves as well, which is massively important, and was able to kind of navigate his business accordingly. So yeah, as we say, the mindset and the clarity that you bring to what you're doing is massive.
But in your experience now, what are some maybe practical strategies for developing a positive mindset in business?
I wish I had a whole notebook full of like handy hints. I would first of all welcome any other tips and advice, because I think we're all learning and we can all do much better. Positive mindset. I think one of the big things I've seen is who you surround yourself with. Now, obviously, you know, take a solopreneur that's doing something by themselves, doesn't have the resources to build a team. Or have a co-founder as much as they wish. Obviously, that's can become a lonely process, that can become quite challenging. But that's still not to say that you can't surround yourself with people who can provide you with you know, the support that you need to develop a healthier mindset, right? We don't need yes men around us. None of us do, because that's not helpful, particularly in business. You want people who can give you realistic advice. And I think that starts with having people that you trust, right? Beyond just your mum who's going to sing your praises, whatever you do, right? These are, you know, it doesn't have to be, as I said, a formal co-founder or a business partner or bringing on an advisor or board of directors. It's just people around you within your network, peers, just anyone who can just be real with you, right? We've seen, I mean, I've spoken to many a founder, the dreamers that have the crazy ideas, or, you know, real entrepreneurial spirit of, yeah, I've got this amazing idea, it's going to change the world type of thing. Those people, need focus and direction to be able to kind of navigate what they're trying to do to get to the next stage. They may also need people around them who can shut down that idea, right? Who are not afraid to say, actually, do you know what? I would probably bite that in the bullet and do something different, right? So I think your mindset can be influenced very much from the people that you surround yourself with. I know that sort of the term positive thinking sometimes has a little bit of an odd connotation with it, of like, think happy thoughts and be really happy and positive all the time. And, you know, we're human, we can't do that. But I do think there's something in just having positive energy around you, or trying to sort of be optimistic about things, being realistic about what you're doing. And I think the people around you can certainly help that. As I said, not necessarily to sort of like, yeah, you can do it, go Nargis, but also to give you that realistic advice as well. Constructive criticism, it's all very, very helpful in business, right?
Now you said like so many keywords, and I'm like, okay, I want to tap into the things like all at the same time, obviously. But is there anything you'd say like besides like having people around you that actually help you to really lift it off the ground? Like, is there anything you think would influence your mindset in like having that transformation from a fixed mindset over to a growth mindset?
I think people that have been there before, right? Again, it comes down to that trust idea. If it's, as I said, your mum or your brother or your sister who's just, gonna say good things about you regardless, maybe that's not the type of constructive type of guidance that you need. But if it's people that you trust, people in your industry, other professionals, that can help you take you to that next level, that's enormously helpful, right? And I don't think it doesn't need to be a formal paying for a mentor. Remember, this is startup world, so we're always looking for ways to do things when we're bootstrapping or when budgets are tight. And often there's a thinking that you have to go through expensive accelerator programs or hire team members or anything like that. I don't think it needs to be like that. I think there are plenty of resources. We're fortunate to have quite a few resources out there where getting that peer-to-peer advice, bouncing ideas off people that are in your space can be enormously helpful. I mean, even something like listening to podcasts or reading articles from people that are in the crux of what you're going through. They're living your journey. They're crying into their pillow at night with the same challenges that maybe you yourself are going through. I think even hearing those types of things can help you, and it takes you from just having a strong positive mindset, I know what I need to achieve, to taking it more into a growth mindset. Right, okay, I'm confident in what I'm doing. I have the power of my convictions. I'm determined. I'm passionate. I'm all these things, but I also have industry peers who are giving me those pointers to take me into the right direction. Right, to know, okay, well, that's a good idea. Yeah, I actually didn't think of doing that in the early stages. Oh yeah, maybe I should think about demonstrating my product market fit a bit better. Oh well, that founder did XYZ. Okay, that's a good application for me to use in my business to help me get to the next level. That's when we think about growth mindset, of taking it beyond just a confident positive attitude to, right, I'm armed with the tools to be able to actually grow my business, to launch it, to give it the best shot of being a successful venture. And as I said, there are quite a few resources out there. I think we're quite fortunate to live in a world of social media where sort of those things are pretty much on tap, let's be honest.
Do you maybe have also some, practical or also theoretical tips how, especially for people who are working in already set up teams, how they can address mindset biases?
Within the team, I think culture is massively important. Developing a very strong, I kind of want to stay clear of the word positive, because I think people always think, positive thinking means being happy all the time. It's just not realistic, right? We're all able to vent and cry and all those types of things. But I think if you can encourage and foster a very healthy, strong culture within your team, that's massively important. It's something we do very actively in our team. We're a remote first company, and we have been since day one. In terms of productivity and just the running of the business, it's invaluable, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah.
However, it's got its own set of challenges, and definitely fostering a culture is one of the big things. How to keep the team engaged, enthused, like on board, upbeat, and having the right mindset to drive our business forward, right? It's something we think about on a regular basis. And it's something that needs to be nurtured all the time. I think it's enough to just train your team and off they go. You need to be encouraging a very healthy culture. I guess it
And
starts from top down as well, like lead by
yeah,
example as well.
I just want to ask, like, in your experience, how do leaders or managers foster such a growth mindset culture within their teams?
Well, things that have worked for us. First of all, we're always very transparent with our team. We always have been from day one, because they're on that journey with us. The recruitment process, bringing people on within the team, that's the stage where you're looking for people who, yeah, they've got the skills that you're looking for, but I think bringing people on that share your vision and are invested in coming on this journey, particularly when you're hiring for a startup, right? You do need to have that extra dose of commitment. There's not the big pay package and benefits package because you're still coming into a startup business, and there's that reality there. So it's more about people that are coming in that are hungry for, they want to action change, they want to be part of this journey. So that's kind of where it starts, I think. And then beyond that, we make sure that we are telling our team everything, to a certain extent, but you're making sure that they are involved and invested. They understand what they're doing, how that's impacting the business as a whole, so that it's a team effort. It's not just, you're doing a task remotely, and then that's it. You're part of the journey itself. We actually have regular team meetings, obviously, to be in touch with all of our team. We all get together at least once a week, and it's really important actually for us that those team meetings are not the place to talk about company updates and, right, this is what the business is doing, because we believe they should know that through the whole week. They should know about what's going on because we're regularly keeping them in touch with everything. So our team meetings are just a lot of wacky fun. We do things like scavenger hunts and origami and quizzes and all that kind of stuff, which is it's great fun. But beyond that, it's about building a sense of culture, building a sense of, people want to be a part of our company. They enjoy being part of this journey. In terms of their mindset, it is more stronger, it's healthier, they don't feel disconnected, which is very easily done if you're a remote team as well. It's all sort of, we've got the same common goal, whether you are manager or employee, it doesn't really matter. You're sort of all part of this journey together. And I think that inclusion of bringing them in, they're all sort of, and a lot of our content writers and graphic designers, they are of a junior level, but it's important to make sure that they're part of this journey. We're here to help them. We're all together. We're all reaching the same common goals. And obviously making sure they know what they're doing, what impact that's having to the business, good, bad, it's really important to we're all in it together.
I love that. I'd like to add on to that or ask, because I've been talking to many different people, and because the topic of culture is currently, the topic of the time, I feel, everyone is we actually realized we have, some issues with our culture, etc., etc. And then there's always the startup world, or maybe the more let's say smaller companies who are a little faster in adapting to this type of mindset. But then at the same time, I feel like it's not about the size of the company, because the things you are describing is something that will work also in teams, So I think it's just the willingness to put some effort into certain things to really foster a culture that's inclusive, that is making sure that everyone is okay, and at the same time, so period, basically. And my question to this is how do you ensure that you engage everyone being on the team? Because I think that a lot of people who are really following a growth mindset, or in general, who are willing to, create an impact, they're fine with that. But there's also other people out there who still see all of the responsibility with either team leads or business owners, or I don't know, they simply see the responsibility with anyone else but themselves. And I wonder, how can we tackle this? How can we ensure to also kind of put that type of mindset into others and to empower them at the same time, but also to, kind of really make sure that they both understand, or like that everyone understands that everyone has to chip in?
Well, two things. I mean, first of all, this is a personal issue, right? We're talking about mindset. It's about people, emotions, human. It's not, we're not talking about chat GPT type stuff. This is actual human stuff. So alongside that is number two, which is, again, adaptability. This is all about understanding people. As a founder, as a manager of a team, it's your job to know that each and every person within your team is immensely different. They've got a different personality, they've got a different skill set, they will handle pressures differently. And in terms of their mindset for the growth of your company, they'll approach that in a very different way. So understanding people within your team and knowing how to adapt what you're doing to that member of your team. So yeah, there will be people who just have that upbeat, a huge amount of energy. They are that person all the time, naturally anyway. So when it comes to growing a startup, even the challenges, they will be the people like, yeah, right, ready. I'm ready to smash my goals and have that energy and that mindset. But then there will be others, maybe a little bit more introverted, ones that are just more task focused. We've worked with people like that within our team as well, who are excellent, very, very good at their job, productive, efficient, all of those lovely things, but they're not massive, jazz hands people. They are methodical, they're just, quiet, they get on with things. So we just need to adapt the way in which we foster a culture with every member of staff in a different way. And I think it's just as simple as that, really. Just if as you say, if you have a very large team and a large amount of people, then just understanding that every person is totally different. Just as a manager, again, that's within your remit anyway, to be looking at everyone, making sure that it's not just the ones that are speaking the loudest that are seen and heard and looked after. It's often the ones that, don't come to the forefront that will also need your love and attention, and maybe a little bit more work to develop the right mindset that works for your company. But again, it depends on what your company is aimed at, what your circumstances are, what they are like as people. Let's not assume that the people, again, who sort of shout the loudest are the most efficient. It's just about understanding people, I would say.
Actually, I have another question, because we've been talking so much about the term of the impact of mindset and also growth mindset right now. But I'm asking myself, how do we actually measure the impact of mindset on business performance?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. And I'm sorry. I mean, yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it will come across in, I don't want to say that the ones that have the best growth mindset are going to be the most successful unicorn businesses, because I don't think that's fair to say, right? As I said, I've seen a founder of a startup that decided to pull the plug on their business, and I think they had the most encouraging, healthiest mindset, because they could see that actually something's not working. So I don't think it's fair to say, look at the results speak for themselves. But maybe it's about the journey. I mean, I'm open to, I would probably be honest, I don't know the answer to this question, but I would probably argue that it's about measuring what's happening in that journey. What sort of decisions are being made? How are you as founder and your team handling challenges, setbacks, failure, clients that you lose that, is devastating for a startup business? But I think it's more about how do you come out of that? What do you do next? As founders, as people, we're talking about the pressures and stresses of daily life and things. We don't have enough time and we've got so many things to do, and I need to pick up the kids from school, and all of these different things that are attacking us in so many different ways. I often think healthy mindset is about how do you overcome that? What do you do with that? Make or break, right? Fight or flee. Does that break you as a person? Does that send you into depression, or do you rise from it, understand the need to adapt, pivot? it's a hard one, right? Because it's not like you have a graph where you can actually measure tangible results of fostering healthy mindset. But I think it's more you if you understand people, if you look around and you see what people are doing and you speak to, peers, or you speak to other founders, in my case, you can quickly identify people that do have that kind of encouraging mindset, that understand what needs to be done to grow a business, good or bad, success or failure, but what's required. How do they deal with pressures? What are they doing to better themselves? I spoke to a founder the other day who we interviewed him on our podcast, actually. So you'll hear that episode very soon, next couple of weeks. But he was talking about pressure, this exact topic. He was asking us, how do I deal with all these spinning plates that I have on the go? He's growing a very successful business. He is speaking to investors. It's very hands-on and all-encompassing because there's a lot going on. But meanwhile, behind the scenes, he's got twin boys who are, I think, a few months old. They're newborns. So he's juggling nighttime feeds and family life, and, used to go to the gym 5 times a week. I think now goes once, maybe every 3 weeks, kind of thing, right? And you're all nodding and smiling, and we understand what that life is like, right? Even if you don't have the twin boys, you understand, right? And it's, how do you navigate that? Now, in his case, it'd be very easy for him to say, oh my God, this is way too much. Or, as I said, sink into depression, be on a range of medication or whatever. But actually, we said to him, the fact that you're thinking about this, the fact that you identify that I'm kind of close to burnout here. Like, how do I do all these things? I kind of think even that is enough. There's no magic pill. It's not going to suddenly give you a mountain of time, but your mindset's in the right space. Your mindset is switched in the right gear, right?
I'd like to add on to this because I think it's that this is a very, very crucial thing to say, and I think that people really most of the time don't get that this is actually the point. Resilience is that you are able to bounce back and that you are able to step out of the whole autopilot. So what you said, like being able to step out, being able to reflect on, okay, like this is what is currently happening, is actually being resilient, because you are able to connect with yourself, to check in with yourself, to feel like, okay, something is off, like I need to get some support, or I need to maybe change a couple of things or whatever. But, like arriving at that point is the key, because otherwise it's too late, right? Like if you never really listen to all the signs and signals the body is sending to you, it will be too late at some point. And I think this is the problem we're having. Like most people are unwilling to really listen to the signs and signals of the body. They're unwilling to connect to emotions and really everything that is happening inside of us, because they label this all as too spiritual, too I don't know, that's too weak, that's too soft, that's not what
remember,
it's all
there's
about.
still a stigma about this mental
Absolutely.
health box. Let's be honest. And certainly, I mean, when I was growing up, when we were kids, nobody talked about mental health. When you talked about I feel unwell, or something's off, it's you've broken your leg or you've got a cut on your bit, things you can see, and you put a plaster, and it's so that's a relatively new kind of term, and I still think there's a massive stigma around it because people don't really understand about it. And I think it works in two different ways. Hopefully it's not too controversial to say this, but I do think there are the band of people that genuinely are suffering with the wrong mindset, burnout, stresses, pressures. It's all affecting our mental health. And when you talk about the listening to your body, it's actually listening to your mind, and maybe listening to signs of fatigue and all those types of things. They're going through that. Maybe they don't identify with that they do have problems. Maybe they're trying to figure that out. Unfortunately, there are the other band of people that maybe use and abuse that term as well, of I'm stressed, oh, I have mental health problems, sort of thing, which is not necessarily true. It's just you've just got a lot of things on your to-do list, maybe you need to be more organized. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a different type of thing. So I do think there's just a massive gray area surrounding our mind and how we approach things. And unfortunately for us, we're living in a world where the pressures couldn't be greater. There couldn't be more concerns. We're talking about war. We're talking about economic crisis. The budget here in the UK is just about to be announced, and everyone's stressing, cost of living crisis. The
I
list
think,
goes.
what I really, like to point out also is what you've been saying before, is that especially when you start a business, or like actually in life, it makes sense for like life, is we always think that we have a roadmap in our mind and we arrive from point A to point B in one straight line, because this is how we were taught. But it's not the reality. Like, and I don't know if you know Liz Foslin or Follin, like what is it? Like I always forget, but there's this amazing Instagram account where you, like, she's putting everything into drawings, and you can see, like, success is then like a linear line. It's more, or like a graph. It's really like going forward and then maybe falling down and then going here and going there and then maybe, but it's not something linear. And I think most people of us, like, they really struggle to understand that this is how life works. Like, it's, I like to see life as a summary of experiences. There is no such thing as failure. There's just an experience, and the way we judge about it is like our mindset. We either win or we learn. This is what I like to say. It's not about winning or losing, it's winning or learning. And I think this is really crucial to understand. And once you have all those things really incorporated into your DNA, it will be easier for you to step out of that autopilot and be like, okay, I'm in crisis mode now, so what do I do? What do I prioritize? And in the end, like, it will never get better. Like, that's the unfortunate truth also.
And you need to make peace with that. Like,
Yes.
life is constantly going to throw you curveballs.
Yes.
No matter business, as you say, even just normal day-to-day life. We have a plan, don't you? When you're young, you have a plan. This is what I'm going to achieve in my life. Some of us do. It never goes to plan, does it?
Yeah.
And you're right. That's that's actually a beauty of life. But you sort of have to change that mindset. There are the people that sort of see curveballs or attacked by the same curveballs, and they're like, oh my God, that's just like completely destroyed my world. What on earth do I do now? And they break because of it. They get knocked down. It's like chipping at a piece of wood. You see those people. I know people like that, everything's happening to me sort of thing, versus the people that sort of, okay, it's tough. Maybe there's a period of time. You just take a breath, react from it, and then find a way to bounce from it and actually make peace with the curveball that's been thrown at you. Maybe
Absolutely.
even learn from it and embrace it, and it changes you in a better way. But seeing the world through different lenses, that's what mindset is all about, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think, I usually say that in every deep dive we have, but I think it's important to understand every single time our mind isn't made for this world. Like, it's still kind of stuck in the Stone Age. Like, all the reactions, all the processes we have inside of us, they are still like coming from that time zone, let's say, and they haven't really adapted. So it's on us to build up that resilience and to be able to detect those internal processes and reactions much faster, so that we can kind of interfere. And this is where mindset comes into play. So this is why it's so important that everyone who's listening or everyone who's watching, like, it's your duty as a leader to foster that type of mindset, but it's also your duty as a person, whatever you are, like whether you're a founder, an entrepreneur, or an entrepreneur, or like like an employee, to also foster that type of mindset. Because if you don't do that, you will have a problem. you will have an issue like this, like sooner or later, because at some point there will be a boundary, and like you cannot like overcome that certain amount, like that threshold kind of. Yeah, so you will be at your limits, and then what do you do? And what I don't like here in Germany is that, like, I don't know if it's different in the UK, but I guess like we're pretty similar when it comes to that, is that most people see not be like they, whenever it's about stress, they feel like, yeah, this is a weakness. You know, if someone is stressed
100%.
because of something, like it's you're weak. And I'm like, no, you're not, because like everything is happening so fast these days around us. Like no one is prepared for this.
Exactly.
The ones that are like kind of being able to navigate through that jungle, those are the ones that are doing the inner work. Those are the ones that are having help on the side, having coaches, therapists, and etc. Right? Like, but no one talks about that. Still, we're going back to the stigma part, right? And this is like what everyone has to understand. You know, no one is so cool, and no one is really able to navigate through that, I don't know, whatever we want to call it out there, yeah, alone. Like
Exactly.
everyone
And
has
plus
help.
we live in a world of comparing as well, don't we?
Yeah,
And social media hasn't helped. You're constantly, you've got almost too easy access to the world and seeing what everyone is doing to a very enormous amount of detail. And everyone's lives look perfect online. Everyone looks beautiful and filtered, and they're confident and lives put together. Nobody sees the crying into the pillow. No one sees the broken stuff. No one sees the, bags under the eyes because you've got fatigue, because you're just so overwhelmed and stuff, right? And you're right. That's why therapists are in business, because, it's just pressures of day-to-day life, isn't it? But I do believe it's just how you, and okay, not everyone can afford or has access to a therapist, and nor should they all just run to a therapist, but it's more about how are you handling the pressures? What are you doing to get yourself out? It might just be something so small like, do you know what? I'm just going to make sure that I get good sleep for, I need to just get more hours in the day. Do you know what? I'm just going to drink more water and just take care of myself. You know what? I'm going to not work into the early hours of the night, on my laptop. I'm going to go run a hot bath and just close my eyes for a few minutes. Little things. It doesn't have to be big, overwhelming, massive changes to your life. It can just be very small things can make a massive difference.
absolutely. And like, this is actually one of the reasons why we developed like a 12-week program. It's so funny because, like, when I speak to people, they're always like, yeah, but give me a tool that really literally will change my life like this. And I'm like, it doesn't work like
That'd be
this,
nice.
unfortunately. Like, yeah, I mean, right? Like, wouldn't it be amazing, like, to have that magic pill? But I think this is what everyone needs to understand. It is actually a process, because like our mindset was engraved into us. We were like conditioned in a certain way for a very long amount of time, and now we expect that our mind is able to make a 180-degree change, within like a snap of your fingers. And yeah, but the 12 weeks program is actually like, we're really proud of it because it's just a 5-minute video every week. And then when you start incorporating those tools into your life, you will be able to be more resilient, to deal better with stress, to kind of develop that growth mindset type of thing. And I mean, in the end, it doesn't matter how you label it, right? Like, the important thing is that you do it, that you run with it, and that you try things out, that you really be more curious about certain things, that you are more open about certain things, and don't really put everything into boxes and be like, yeah, this is the black and white type of thing, like, it doesn't work for me because didn't work for me, I don't know, 20 years ago, so it definitely won't work for me now. And I'm like, yeah, but like, life's changing, you are changing, so like, just be curious. You never know, like, different situation, different type of people, whatever. Maybe a unicorn will turn out of it. Who knows?
And you're 100% right, because it's life experience, isn't it? You're right. We ourselves as people are changing every single day. We're getting older and we're sort of absorbing different things from everywhere, not just in business, around us. The more people you speak to, you just learn something. Okay, that's something good that they're doing. Oh, do you know what? I'm not going to do what they're doing, type of thing. But the openness is key. I think that's where you see people who just have this healthier, positive mindset, because they're not afraid to open their eyes and sort of absorb the things that are all around them, good or bad, to shape you as a person. I always think we're sort of work in progresses, aren't we, as human beings, as we get older, as we navigate through life. We're just learning and evolving, and it's the people that have made that decision. Do you know what? I'm going to work on myself. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. I'll never be perfect, but that's fine. But I just want to be constantly improving myself. How can I do better? And again, if it's something small like getting more sleep, type of basic stuff, or is it more like, I'm going to just change the way I think about something? Or do you know what? I'm going to start focusing on this, or, it's openness, that openness and willingness that shapes you.
Look, like I said, I have to stop us at a certain time. So we're already 1 minute over, like predicted. But what we will do, everyone who was registered, through Eventbrite, you will receive an email from us. But also on LinkedIn, we have been tagging you. We will tag you again so that everyone can simply reach out to you if there is another question or if they want to start working with you. Please feel free to reach out and kind of understand that we all need to just make that one step in reaching out to everyone else and start working together in creating the future together. We don't have to do it alone. There is always someone out there who has a little bit more experience and maybe also even expertise, of course, and that makes it a little easier, to navigate through this jungle of, I don't know, whatever we want to label it. But thank you for your time, your insights, and your thoughts. I really love talking to you as always. And I love that LinkedIn also brought us together, because I think it's always amazing how to kind of increase the visibility in the network and see what comes out of it.
There are real people on LinkedIn.
Yes, there are. They're all really nice. It's also a nice thing.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.